Welcome to the Hotties and Horror Movies podcast, where your hottie hosts, Sanker and Wendy, break down their weekly horror movie binge.
Hey! Welcome to this week's episodes of Hotties and Horror Movies with your hottie hosts, Sanker and Wendy. Hi!
Hey, how's it going?
Dead inside as usual, but you know. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It's been a long day.
Oh my god, it's been such a long day. Y'all better appreciate this. We have been filming today. My god. We have been filming and recording today. Oof.
And we went through some shit.
Someone is gone next weekend, so putting in triple time.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
That's okay.
You haven't told
me
what
going?
you're doing.
Yes, I did. I told you earlier.
Oh, yeah, you did. Sorry, I blanked. Anyway, let's get to it. So, this week's episode, guys, is called The Invitation. So, this movie's just recently been released, and when I saw the trailer, I said yes. Yes, because the leading actress in this movie was the actress who played Melisandre, I think, from Game of Thrones, and I loved her. So I was like, we have to watch this. Like, chef's kiss. Love her. Love it a bit.
And the lead actor wasn't so bad himself either.
So you will probably notice throughout this whole podcast that Sanker is definitely simping for this man. That's her, and I will bully her in the podcast for it, but we're gonna do what we're gonna do. So quick summary of this really good movie. We both really enjoyed it. It wasn't so much a horror, like, I don't know, a lot of horrors aren't technically horrors. They're more thrillers. So I was thrilled. I'm not going to lie to you, I was. And the summary of this movie is pretty much this young artist, I don't know how old she is. Oh my God, what was her name? Evelyn. Yeah. Her name was Evelyn, and she is a struggling artist who lives in New York City. Both her parents are passed away, which is very unfortunate. And she takes a DNA test and finds out that she has a whole heap of family over in England. She's American, and she's apparently part of a very rich family. So her family reaches out, brings her over to England for a supposed wedding, and things get turned around very quickly.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of twists and turns.
So we don't want to spoil it too much, so we'll just get right into it. Let's begin. Sanka, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say in terms of the movie as a whole without giving away the big twists and everything. So let's just go into the spoilers now and talk about the plot.
Yes.
So, yeah, like you said, a struggling artist. She's living in New York City, and she decides to take an ancestry type test. And so she comes back with a match for I think he was a second cousin.
Yes.
And there's a picture of this guy, and he is white. Like, he's so white, he's almost clear.
Absolutely white. And can I just say, MVP of the whole movie was her black friend. I think Evie is biracial, and her black friend was just on point. Me and her, we same vibes. She is me, I am her, we are together. Because this black friend had it together the entire time. Oof, my God.
Oh yeah, she was so, I suppose, logical, which is not what we're used to in horror movies at all.
Yep.
And she was asking all the right questions, pointing out all the very obvious facts of meeting up with a stranger who's supposedly your family, and trusting these new people, getting into a situation that's probably going to end up with you murdered.
Yes.
So we liked that part of it. And yeah, she was you, literally, Wendy. She was you. If I had to pick someone else, if I had to pick someone else to be cast in this movie, it would be you.
Honestly.
And you wouldn't even have to act.
No, because that's how I am every day. Suspicious, confronting, logical.
Yes. Which are great traits to have.
Yeah, when you're not trying to get murdered, they are. They're wonderful. Sanker, Sanka, on the other hand, would have gotten her ass eat up in this. Oh my god.
Well, look, I
Simp.
beg to differ because I wouldn't have gone. I mean, trusting some random white boy saying that he's my cousin and that I have a wealthy family sounds suspicious to me.
Honestly.
Sounds like red flags, and I wouldn't have gone.
See,
I'm
I would have
sorry.
been like, I want a bank transfer. Transfer me £10,000 right now. So I believe you.
True.
Transfer me £10,000 right now. So I can
True,
pay off
true.
this rental. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
So yes, maybe if I had gone there, I would have been, snatched up and killed, but I wouldn't get there. So that's kind of my saving grace.
True. I'll give you that much. I will. I'll give you that much. But the thing is, I'm still suspicious of you, babes, because I think had you seen Homeboy, I think if you had seen him first, you would have been caught up.
Yeah, I'll admit.
I think had we seen him in the first 10 minutes, you would have been caught up. I think you would have been.
No, if he was the cousin, nah, I'm dead. Done.
No.
I'll accept my fate.
No, honestly, because the white guy, like we will be having a live reaction to this. Hopefully, I'll keep my fingers crossed that the audio and everything went well. But let me tell you, Sanka was simping. The thirst on her face. Oh my god, you guys! I have not seen my sis this thirsty in years. Years. It was like she's in a drought, licking her lips, staring. I said, "Oh, my sis is in deep."
In my defense, I hadn't had enough water, so that's why my lips were dry.
Thirsty. This man came with his accent, his chiseled jaws, and his dark hair, and his light blue eyes. Licked his lips, and Sanka was on the floor. I said, "Sis, get up, get up." She was and then when he took that shirt off, Sanka was gone. My girl was gone. She came to her senses in the end. She did. When old man got some acrylics. When he got them acrylics on, she came to her senses. But before then, my sister...
Even then, I questioned. I was like, could I live with this? Probably.
I'd have to save you from yourself.
Okay, moving on. So, Evie decides to meet up with his cousin for coffee, and it's out in daytime and they're out in a public place, so good job to her. Very responsible. And he's talking to her about how her, I think it was grandpa or great grandma,
her great grandmother,
yeah, had an affair, and that's how her line of the family came to. And then he's talking about the rest of the family, how everyone would love to meet her, literally dying to meet her.
Hint, hint.
And
wink, wink.
Conveniently, there is a wedding that is happening, I think, just the following week that he invites her to. And look, this man is pretty persistent, so she does give in.
Well, he said, "I'll pay for your flights. I'll do everything. Stays free.
First
you
class
get the champagnes,
too.
First class. I got frequent flyers. Oh, you'd be helping me out.
Stay in a mansion. Yep. His dying uncle really wants to meet her. Yeah.
I bet.
Seems a little bit sus to me. My warning bells were going off, but I don't know. Maybe she doesn't have any. I suppose that's why she's got a responsible best friend.
Yep.
Maybe. But this guy, the whole time he was sitting there having coffee with her, he just looked like he had to take the biggest turd. Like he was just holding it back.
Honestly, he looked constipated the whole time. Man was sweating. Now we know why, now that we've watched the movie.
Yes, we know why.
But he was huge. He was in pain.
And he was very determined to get her there.
Like overly determined. Like a little too keen.
Yep. So, after a little bit of other stuff, talking to her best friend, she decides she's going and she flies there and gets driven to the big mansion.
It's a beautiful mansion.
It is. It looks really beautiful. You know what we missed?
The beginning. I was literally just thinking that.
The
Oh my
opening
god, see
scene.
guys, Sanka and I besties. I was literally just thinking how we forgot about the beginning, and here she is talking about it. Sanka and I, our birthdays are 2 years apart. 2 years. Oh, they are 2 years apart.
Yeah.
2 days apart, 2 years apart, like wavelengths. We did not discuss the beginning. So pause,
No, we didn't.
rewind. We
Yes.
open with.
We went from 0 to 100 straight away.
Oh.
We are led into this mansion. It is nighttime. It is dark. There is not a single light in this mansion. We can see in the shadows a lot of figurines, I say, like statues. There's
Artwork.
one of a dragon that is like
Slaughtering
standing
a knight.
over top of a man, like killing him. Yeah. And a bunch of other statues and creepy stuff, swords on the walls, all kinds of like medieval gothic type crap. Anyway, we are led up down a hallway by a man that goes to a room and he starts saying, I don't remember if he said her name, but he starts saying, "Ma'am, you need to eat. You can't keep starving yourself like this." And she's behind a locked door, so he unlocks this door and there's a woman inside. She's wearing a beautiful dress, looks very lovely. But she has apparently been starving herself and doesn't want to do this anymore, doesn't want to live anymore. So she gets out of the room, gets past the guy, and goes into another room where there's a piano, and she like rips out one of the wires out of there.
Yeah.
And ties it around her neck, runs outside to where the staircase is, and she grabs one of the heavy statues behind her, holds onto it, and then jumps off of like the side of the railing to, with the piano cord around her neck. And
obviously, it takes her head off.
Yeah. We were wondering initially, like, why did she need to grab the
so
statue?
confused.
Because,
We were
like,
huh?
you would have died anyway. Would have, hung yourself, really. But no, she needed to go the extra step to chop off her head.
And she did say it ends with me. So obviously
Yes.
it was very significant that she was killing herself. So, ugh.
Yeah. And then after that scene, once we go to Evie's apartment, we see a photo of said woman that just killed herself with like her grandpa or something, or great grandpa. I don't remember the relation.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit interesting.
Just a bit juicy. Anyway, back to present tense. Old mate
Yes.
has arrived.
So-
Evie has arrived at the McMansion. And what a
Yes.
nice mansion it is.
It was. It's very nice. And there's a truck full of maids that arrives there at the same time as her, and there's like 5 of them exiting, each of them numbered.
Yeah, which was
1 to
weird.
5.
The movie doesn't explain why they were numbered.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to know their names, I
Oh,
suppose.
true. I'm also very side note, apologies guys. In case you can hear anything in the background, I have a husband and I have cats. So if you hear the kettle boiling, meows, some scrunching of the litter, it is what it is. Moving on.
Moving on.
Cinnamon, right now. right now. Oh my god.
Speaking of cats. Well, I can just hear that.
Like, oh, she's just so annoying. Like, I love, and now she's staring me dead in the face as she goes to the bathroom. I love my life. Like, she's literally dead eyeing me right now as she's taking a piss. I hate cats. I love her, but I hate them. Anyway, continuing. We have arrived at the McMansion. The
Yes.
maids are there. They're numbered. We don't know why they're numbered yet.
Evie runs into one of the maids who's carrying some glasses, and she drops them and smashes them all. Now, I don't know, what is he, the butler?
The head butler, yes.
Yeah, the head butler comes over and starts going off at them.
In the British way. So when we say off, we mean like sternly.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said. I think you might know better than me.
Yeah, he was all, I don't care who did it. It just needs to be cleaned up. more British than that. But very rude, very dismissive of Evie. He doesn't realize that she's an important guest or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she calls him an ass, like, I said what I said. You don't have to be rude. And then comes in, gliding, if you will, the man Sanka was ready to risk it all for. Risk immortality. Walter.
Risk my life.
Risk
Walter.
your life.
Fucking awful name.
Yeah. Such an old English name, Walter.
Not me being able
Walt.
to live with the cuticles, but not the name.
Ugh. Imagine having to call him Wally. Come on, Wally. Oh, Walter. Ew, Walter is not a sexy name.
Ew.
Imagine trying to scream that in bed. Walter. Walter.
No,
Walter.
it's awful.
Eh.
It's such an old man name.
Oh,
Have you ever
Walt.
met a baby called Walter? Like, do they just appear?
No, you're right. I have never met a child named Walter. No, I've never met a child. You're absolutely correct. I have never met a child named Walter or Walt
Yeah.
or Gregory.
No.
To be honest, I've met Gregs, but not Gregory. Ew.
Yeah, gross. Imagine looking at your baby. Oh, looks like a Walter to me.
Yeah, but those
No.
those rich families pass down names. It's like the royal family. Like, it's inherited. Like, Prince Harry's real name is Henry.
Yeah.
I did not know that until like 5 years ago.
To be honest, Henry's probably better.
Henry, no, but he's Harry. He's my bad boy. He's my ginger bad boy. Harry. Fucking Henry. Yeah. Disgusting. Anyway, where are you? Oh, yes. Walter comes in and, sachets in. All
Flirting
dark.
a bit. I don't really remember what he said. It's all a blur to me. But
Yeah, because she was drooling. So I'll fill you guys in. He comes up, says that must be our guest, Evie. And the butler then has to apologize because he's like, oh, this must be one of our good guests. They are looking at each other up and down. They're assessing the situations. He's giving her a sly, curved, dimpled smile. Her and Sanka are in their panties. And then old mate Butler takes her to her room. And so this is where she meets one of the housekeepers or maids who takes her into her room and unlocks the room. So that's where we get up. That's, where Sanka will probably remember the rest of the movie now that her mandem's not in the scene.
yeah, so she's talking to the maid and the poor lady looks a bit, I wouldn't say frightened, but she seems nice. But she looks more like she's afraid for Evie, but at the same time doesn't want to give anything away.
Yeah, or doesn't think she can give anything away.
Yeah, I mean, like, understandable, but still. And then she starts talking about how, there's a picture in the room across from the bed, super creepy, of the lady that killed herself at the start of the movie. And the maid says that was the previous lady of the house who recently passed. And so Evie's, trying to relate and saying, oh yeah, it's always hard. Her mum recently passed away as well, so she's still trying to deal with that. And I think that's part of the reason that she was so eager to see this new family, that, undiscovered family, to form these new connections. Exactly, because she had no one else, yeah. Her dad was already dead and her mum recently passed. So she was obviously missing both of them and just wanting something to fill the void.
She wanted a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor thing.
Little did she know.
Well. Wellity well.
Yeah, but she, so pretty soon after, she ends up meeting the rest of the family. So this Walt guy is not related to her at all. He's a separate family group. If you different surnames, everything completely separate. The reason that they are at his mansion is because the wedding is being held there, and someone from his family, like, is supposedly the groom, but she has not yet met the bride or the groom yet. So eventually she meets the rest of the family that is related to her, which I think what were they called? What was their last name?
Alexander.
Alexander. Yeah, okay, Alexander. I was thinking
Yeah.
Anderson for some reason.
Alexander. Because they called her
Yeah.
Evelyn Alexander.
So she goes into this room full of the Alexanders, and they are all males. Every single one of them.
No, there was 2 older women.
Were there?
Yeah, there was 2 very old women, like
Okay.
old. Like, their breast milk's like baby powder.
I didn't notice, but yeah, okay. But yeah, there's like, I don't know, what, 15, maybe 20 of them in there? And most of them were men, mostly quite old as well. There weren't too many young ones. Her second cousin was there, the constipated guy. But they all seemed really, really, really welcoming of her. Like, beyond the nice kind of welcoming.
Yeah,
Like,
like a
almost
little
creepy.
too keen.
Yeah, like really creepy kind of welcoming. Which for me, red flag. For her,
Instantly.
it's like, oh my gosh, they love me so much.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah,
Like, why?
And they say some creepy stuff too. I
Yeah,
can't
like
remember the
pointing out,
exact
like,
quotes.
no, like, it was along the lines of, oh, you know, we would have been lost without you. We would have, you know, it was very, like, there, you know,
Like
the
finally having a female.
yeah, like, the patriarch, the uncle, was just like, it's finally good to, you know, we've only just had boys. Like, it's finally
Yeah.
good to have, you know, a daughter or a girl. And it was just like, why are you saying all this? Instantly suspicious.
Yeah, very suspicious. And then there's one night. I don't remember. I don't know if I'm going in sequence. I'm just saying things that I'm remembering because I don't know if it really matters too much. So there was, I think it was probably the first night she was there. She has like a nightmare that she was talking to her friend before she went to bed on the phone, and it made it seem like she was actually doing this, but it was in the end just a dream. She said she
Yeah.
was going out for a run, and so she was running outside near the mansion, and what was it that woke her up? It was like, I felt like it was a bird or something that crashed, like died in
Yeah.
front of her or something.
I don't know. It was something really weird. And then she just randomly woke up.
Yeah, she jolted awake and she was in bed.
Yeah.
And she looked at the clock and it was 3 a.m. or just before 3 a.m.
Yes.
And this chick in a mansion that she doesn't know decides to get up in the middle of the night to go get some water or something. Like, why? Why are they always exploring?
The thing is, where
Explore
do you know,
during the
where is
day.
the kitchen? Where
Yeah.
do you know where the kitchen is? She literally, the maid that took her to her room was just like, this is what, you ring this bell if you want something. She didn't ring the bell. She just left the room to go get some water. Like, what? And then that's
Yeah.
where we see some weird shit.
Yeah, so she's walking outside and it's like that front opening little like courtroom, I don't know, with in the first scene where the lady had died. It's in that same room. And the 5 maids are all lined up next to, I think, the library that was supposedly under renovation. And she wasn't allowed to go in there, so it's locked up by a key.
Yeah.
And the head butler is there standing in front of them and they're waiting for the bell to ring so that one of them will get picked and go in there to clean up, supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't quite understand it too much, but whatever. The bell rings, he unlocks the door and sends one of them in there. And this fucking maid, it's a dark room, like barely lit at all. She's going in there to dust, and she puts earphones in both of her ears with loud music.
And the thing is,
Why?
it's dark. Like, the light doesn't
Yeah.
turn on. It doesn't work.
It is so creepy. Like,
So she's
if you
dulling
have
her
to, like,
senses.
I understand doing a boring job and just like having music just to get through it, but at least have one earphone in and one out so that you can hear if someone is sneaking up on you
or approaching you, or any weird
or
sounds.
yeah, or even just trying to speak to you. Like, it's not even like about safety anymore. It's just professionalism also.
True. That is true. Like, imagine if the butler guy walked in and she's just jamming to bloody Bon Jovi. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
take that shit out your ear and dust this goddamn room.
Exactly. But there's a little bit of a jump scare, and there's some kind of creature that has jumped out and grabs her, and we're not shown exactly, but it's assumed that she gets killed.
Especially in a creepy room with, like, it's one of those old English, like, hunting rooms where, like, whatever lord has the house or whatever has, like, this room. I think they call it a parlor or something. Yeah.
There were so many
like animal heads.
Animals, yeah, animal heads. Ugh.
And so, like, it's a very creepy room. Like, she tries lighting some candles so she can at least see what she's doing. They kept getting, blown out by whatever creature is haunting her. And yeah, the last thing she sees is she looks up and there's like a two beady bright eyes looking back down at her, and then she's gone.
Yep.
Definitely. And Evie gets away because Evie is shushed back to her bedroom by that maid lady who's like, "Oh, I'll get you some water and I'll make you some tea." And then it's the next morning.
Yeah, next day. And I think she finds a new dress in her room that has been gifted by old mate
Walter. Walty Woo.
Walty Bay.
Ugh. It's funny when I do it. It's the ick when you do it, because you were actually simping for this man.
Shut up.
Anyway, yeah.
I think he comes around at some point to her room, and his shirt is unbuttoned.
He's flirting.
Yeah, it's really putting the moves out there, flirting. And I think one of the nights there was like a party outside at nighttime.
Yeah, that's the day. That's the day you're talking about.
Yeah,
and I think after that she has a bit of a nightmare, and then that's when he comes to her room.
Oh, and then she gets introduced to those two ladies.
Yeah, so she gets this beautiful dress.
No. The thing in the cellar that I forgot to mention. See, I'm jumping all over the place because we just recently watched this movie and I'm just remembering all this shit. Do you want to talk about the cellar scene?
When is the cellar scene, though? I feel like the cellar scene is like...
It was before the party because...
Was it?
Remember once we met the chicks, we were like, oh yeah, one of them's really tall. And we remembered one of the maids looking up.
Oh, true.
When they got attacked.
That is true.
So we assumed it was them.
Yep. So what happens is... it's when Evie... It was a day before, like, she gets the dress, because Evie is talking to them in the little parlor room, her new family. And then the butler calls one of the maids, and then he has two of them. And then he's like, I need you guys to go down and get this particular year of wine. And then the maid was like, why? You need both of us to do it. And he's like, go. And then he opens it. He unlocks it.
Yeah, rude. He was like, oh no, we know how clumsy you are to one of them.
Yeah.
Rude.
And then he closes the cellar door behind them. And
locks it.
And can we just say, doesn't give them a torch, doesn't give them a lantern, gives them some matches. That's how they're looking in a dusty old cellar for matches, for wine bottles that've got dust on them. You would think in the 20s...
there's like hundreds of wine bottles down there.
And the thing is, like, I understand it's ancient, but you can put new shelving systems in so you can easily identify bottles. Like, what? But I suppose for what happens next, there's a reason it still remains like that. Because the girls are looking around for a bottle. They each sort of separate. One plays a bit of a prank on the other one by, like, touching her hair in the dark. The other one freaks out. And then it happens again, but she realizes that she's not near her. So they find the bottle. The girl who got spooked puts her hand into, like, the cellar thing. I don't know what the proper name is called. Tries reaching for the bottle. Mind you, I don't know how they identified that this was the wine that they needed. I could not find any identification. So they must There must be professional maids to be able to scope out whatever writing or wording means anything. And so as she's putting her hand in, she gets stuck, right? So she gets absolutely stuck. She's being yanked. As this is happening, there's something behind the other maid who's standing there with a match. She, you know, as this girl's wrestling with her hand in the bottle, she turns. She's like, "Oh my God, behind you!" And the other maid slowly lifts her head up, and something's looking down at her. And so the other maid gets her hand free, scattles back very, very quickly, and the scene was kind of spooky. You just see the maid standing there, then suddenly her neck snaps, and then she's just yanked into the dark. While the other maid, she scooches back, puts her hand down on like a pair of gnarly looking feet, disgusting, and you just hear her bones just go crack, and then that's the end of the scene. And then we cut to Evelyn or Evie getting ready. You know, Walter has given her a beautiful, like, gold yellow dress for her to wear for the evening. And she looks very pretty, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Very much complements her skin. And yeah, she heads down to the party, and she's introduced to the entire party. Like what's her name? Evelyn Alexander, as she's walking in, and everyone starts clapping. And she's just like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah, even when they introduced her, I was like, hang on.
No, legit.
That wasn't her last name.
I was like, was that necessary? Like, so, and her cousin Oliver, who brought her over, was like, well, it's official. You're an Alexander again, or now. And so then she meets the particular bridesmaids, in quotation marks. Oh my God. One's tall, very tall, brunette, very voluptuous. The other is a shorter blonde with like a sort of a short bob hair cut. She's very sweet. She's very demure. You know, she's very welcoming. Whereas the taller one's a bit of a bitch. She's a con.
Oh, a bit?
A bit.
She's total
She's
bitch.
just saucing her up a bit, you know. She's just trying to see if she can play with the big girls, you know. But they're introduced as bridesmaids, like for the bride, which.
And Evie's like, okay, so where's the bride?
No, and Evie, you know what? I have to give it to Evie because she has been asking the correct question. She's like, where is the bride and groom? I have yet to meet the bride and groom. Where are the bride and groom? And it's like, everyone sort of dodges her question. Yeah. And it's like, I would have been suspicious. I'm like, how have I been here almost 3 to 4 days and I haven't met these people that I've been invited to their wedding to?
And it's supposedly all for them, like a 3-day celebration for them. What?
Exactly.
Anyway, so old mate Walt makes her dance with him, and that was a bit cringe.
And everyone was tall, blonde brunette was very like, I guess you like new shiny things.
And then they take a little walk away from the party and go into a little side room where he's got all these arts and crafts set up, trying to impress her, and he obviously did some research. And then, I don't know, they're talking and flirting and whatnot, and I think they end up kissing at that point.
Well, I think they're about to kiss and the fireworks go off. No, they do end up kissing. Yeah,
and that other tall chick was outside watching them.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, creep.
And then, like, old mate's in bed, she wakes up again.
Oh,
and then
that's the night where she gets woken up because there's something creepy up above her.
Yep, in her room.
She just sees these claw hands, like super long fingernails and whatnot, crawling. There's like a, what would you call it? Like a sheet, maybe? Hanging
you mean
from...
the canopy?
Yeah, that's
the
what
bed canopy?
yeah, that. Up above her, and she can see these hands and stuff going along that. And she gets out of bed and goes underneath the bed. Interesting choice.
I wouldn't be doing that. Ew.
Like, the door's right there. Why go under the bed? Like, where's your escape?
Honestly, it's never
if
made
anything,
sense.
you're in a more compromised position.
A way more compromised position because you don't know where they're going to yank you out from. But she does get yanked out from under the bed, and it turns out to be
Walt.
Walter Woo. Walter Woo has come to the rescue.
Walty.
And Walty's, what's wrong, Evelyn? What's going on? What's happening? Oh my God, my terrible British accent. And she's just like, oh, I've had a nightmare. There's someone in my room. Da 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 da. And he's like, there's no one here. There's no one here. And then he gets all like, he coos her, and he's like, oh, da 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 da.
Would
And
you
I don't
like
know
me to stay with you for the night?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, yes, please.
Yeah, he's the one who said, can you stay with me? I thought it was her, but no, it was him.
Yeah, no, he offered it, and she was like, yeah.
Yes, please. And then they're like,
Girl,
what
same.
side of the...
I don't even blame her.
And then he was all like, she was like, oh, what side of the bed do you prefer? And he's like, what do you, like, what's your preference? And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, of the bed. I'm like, exactly. Like, what do you mean, what's your preference? Ew.
Well, I was thinking he was going to go sit on the chair, but no, fuck.
No,
He went
same.
straight to it.
What do you mean? Just sit on a chair and watch me, you creep. Bloody get in my bed.
Yeah, they didn't end up doing anything. They just went to bed.
No, they fell
sleep,
asleep,
right?
but they were all
just talking about nonsense.
Cutesy. I want to share everything. I want to. He asked her a very he's like, oh, can I ask you a personal question? And she's like, oh. And he's like, what do you want most in the world? And I said, fuck boy lines. Fuck boy lines. Fuck boy lines. What do you want to do most in the world? Fuck boy lines. Ugh, ick. And she answers, and he's just like, that's a brilliant answer. Well, I don't know. He's just putting the moves on her. And then as he's talking, she falls asleep. Next morning, she wakes up. He's left her a nice note saying, oh, you were too peaceful. I didn't want to wake you up. Blah, 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 blah.
Cute.
Ugh. And then she gets barged into.
Bye? Oh, right.
Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yes, the maids of honor.
She's
They
like, it's a
take
spa
her,
day.
Yeah, they take her for a spa day, which I don't know how Homegirl hasn't caught on yet, but
No, but the thing is, you're going for a bachelorette spa day. You have yet to see
and it's just you
the
three.
Bachelorette.
What?
And I think there's Evelyn, the two girls, and then maybe two other people, but I think they're the older women. There is no other young, youthful peeps, you know? And the tall one, I don't remember what her name, Veronica or some dumb shit. I actually have her name up here. What am I doing? I had it ready. It was Veronica! Oh, I'm good. Veronica, starts skinny dipping in the big, warm pool thingy. And, starts antagonizing Evie while Evie and Lucy, I think that's the other girl's name, yeah, Lucy, are getting, their hands done. So the manicurists are doing stuff. And Evie and Victoria are kind of going back and forth. Victoria's like, oh, you must know what he's really like, da-da-da-da-da. And Evie's like, oh, I take people as they are, and I don't believe in the bad past. And Victoria's like, cut the shit. No one's that good. And I was like, she has you on this one, girlie. She has got you on this one. No one is that good. And then, they're going back and forth. Evie isn't paying attention, and she nicks herself, on her cuticle. The poor manicurist nicks her. And I saw that happening because I'm just like, they put too much...
Oh, yeah. So much emphasis on the hands.
Yeah, there was just too much screen time on her nails getting done. I was like, they're going in for a nick. So she nicks it, everyone sort of freaks out. And then Victoria's out of the pool and she's like, oh, let me see. And then Victoria sticks her whole mouth all over the bleeding finger. Ugh.
Gross.
Ugh. Fair enough if it's your own
sucks on
finger,
it
but
too.
someone else's finger. Ugh. After getting all pedicure, after getting your mani done. Ugh.
Oh, no, even just in general. Ugh.
No, but I mean, especially then, she's bleeding and she's got cuticle oil and she's got nail residue still sitting on her finger. So it's like, ew, okay, if you wanted a cocktail that badly, gross bitch. And then obviously Evie's had enough and she fucks off. But as she fucks off, she sneaks to the forbidden area.
Yeah.
The library.
Yes, the library. She grabs the key and then sneaks in there. And she finds some files that have research on her. So a printout of her Facebook page and the ancestry thing and a few bits of information on her.
Where she works, her family, all sorts of stuff.
And she freaks out, goes back to her room, starts packing, super pissed. And then Walt comes in. He's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" She has a bit of a go at him, and he's, being all charming and explaining to her, someone in my position with my money has to be careful and, see who they're inviting into their home.
And she was like, no, fuck that. Da 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 da.
But I get it, because so many people just want to fucking take advantage if they can.
Yeah,
so
but there is a lot of people.
I kind of get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who would pull some shit like that. Like, I can't blame him for wanting to do some background checks. Like, I'd probably do the same thing. Like, you're inviting some random girl who's part of your ancestry to a wedding, like, at my home. Like, you don't know if she's going to nick stuff. And he's got,
exactly.
Besides his personality, he's got lots of priceless, like, art and stuff all around the mansion. He doesn't know the kind of person he's bringing to his house. Huh?
Besides his personality.
Well, I would do the same thing. I do it now with my friends. Sure. Me. I ask questions. Oh my god, this movie's only PG-13. No wonder it wasn't that scary. I just looked at the rating. No, because the thing is, I do the same thing. Like, when we used to go out, you'd be like, oh, let's go to this thing. And I'm like, who's going? How long are we going to be? Do you know them? Where they come from? What level are they on? Why do you talk to them? I'm the same. I want to know who's going and why they're going and why I have to go. So fair enough, but why do I have to be there? But yeah, I would have done the same thing. And
because you have to protect me. That's why. Protect me from my bad decisions.
Oh god, it's so painful. Not us having evidence of that too. Just me deadpanning into the camera like I was forced to be here. But yeah, he convinces her, and she's like, oh, I guess. And then he puts the moves on her. He puts the moves on her. And mind you, the night before when he watches her sleep, he's just got a wife beater on. What a name for a piece of clothing, a wife beater. But he's got his wife beater on. His arms are out. Sanka is drooling, and he's just looking right in this scene. She's only in a robe, by the way, so she's got nothing under that robe. She's ready. She's slick. They start making out. The robe's coming off. Starts getting heated. Okay, it's getting a bit sexy. It's going on for a little too long for my liking, because I get the ick very quickly at like sex scenes in any movie. It's just awkward. Long. Like, just imply it, or like have a veil over them. Like, make it sexy. Make it a bit erotic. I know what sex looks like. Like, add to the imagination. That's what I want filmmakers to do. Add to the allure. Like, have a reflection on something that just shows their silhouette. Make it sexy. But no, we just saw them humping him. Well, not really humping, but implied humping and touching and all that kind of crap. And she is enjoying the rich penis. She is.
Oh yeah.
He must have. He was packing because she was enjoying herself. That Walter Wu was doing what he needed to do to get her on board. Because after that, they're naked, in bed talking, and they're joking around. And he was like, "Oh, let's elope." Some weird shit like that. Red flag, ick, ick, ick. Talking about being romantic, saying, "Oh, let's, I wish it was just you and me. La, 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 let's elope." And then she's like, "Yeah, sure," which is the correct answer. Like, as in sarcasm, like, okay, stop talking shit. And he's like, no, I'm being serious. And she's like, fine, I accept. As soon as she says, I accept, this man is the spring that he is sprung in his step through the roof. His smile is slicker than anything that I've ever seen before, okay? Slicker than a wet gel comb over, okay? He was like, what? Yes, we'll meet you at dinner. I've got a dress for you. And she's like, oh, another dress. And he's like, only the best. And then we get an arse shot. Sanka, still drooling. And then, yeah, so then she gets ready for the night. She's wearing a beautiful red dress. We cut to a scene where it's a masquerade ball. She's wearing a beautiful red dress. Everyone's seated down, waiting. She enters. She gets announced and everything. She sits down right next to him at the head of the table. Mind you, we still have not met the bride and groom.
And sis is still just going along with it. She's still not suspecting anything.
No.
You're sitting at the head of the table. Everyone is waiting for you and looking at you. What?
What? Like, and she's just like, oh, where is it? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
Can you imagine her best friend in this, if she could see this? Oh my gosh.
I would have pulled her by the ear.
Yeah. So, whew. So they pull in one of the what's it called? Maids, and they slit her throat and drain her blood into like a chalice or whatever it was, a bowl. And I think it was just before this, he was explaining how the three families, the Alexanders, and I don't have the family names of the other two. Maybe you've got it up.
And I think Ellis's, Laws or something. It begins with an L. No, an E. L-E.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there's three families, and each of the families must produce a female bride for Walter to marry and turn into a vampire.
And
so,
quick side note, before this, he announces that Evie has agreed to marry him.
yes, his new wife. And she's like, what?
What? She said, skirt, I thought that was just some pillow talk, sir. What do you mean? Marriage, for real. And she's sitting there panicking.
Yes, panicking. But yeah, so the two women, Victoria and Lucy, they are already his brides. And now Evie is going to be the third one. So Evie's grandma was the lady at the start of the movie who killed herself.
Who killed herself, her great-grandma,
because she didn't want to keep drinking the blood of innocence. And she was an Alexander. So since her, they've been incapable of birthing a woman to, become the next bride. So what she said in the beginning, it ends with me, was she was killing herself and thinking there's not going to be another Alexander woman for Walter to marry and turn into a vampire.
Yeah.
Little did she know that she had a granddaughter.
Her male baby survived.
Yeah. And this is why the cousin was so ecstatic to get matched with her. And everyone in the family was so welcoming and so happy. And literally she saved them from death.
And ruin, because apparently...
Just by existing.
Yeah. Walter Wu, apparently that hundreds or whatever years ago, he made a pact with the three families. Had they produced, each family produced a female... I hate the word female. A lady heir for him to marry. Him with three wives creates a really powerful whatever sort of nonsense, and then all the families get wealth from that. So they're successful, they get wealth, so they get something out of coughing up their daughters to marry Walter. And the thing is, there can only be, I think he said there can only be three at a time, so that's why it didn't really matter that her grandmother hadn't died yet, or it didn't matter that they hadn't produced any girls for a while, because they thought they would have been locked and loaded with her great-grandma. They weren't expecting her to kill herself. So this is why they were panicking.
Mind you, Victoria's 500 years old and Lucy, I think, is 100.
100,
so they were expecting her to last a little bit longer.
Than what she, I think it was maybe, 70 years? If that? Because when did she apparently have this baby? 1927?
I'd say she was probably about 100 or so.
19 something?
Yeah.
So she was the last one to be married into the foursome, I guess.
Fucking weird.
Ick.
Yeah.
So we discover that Walter and co. So only Walter, Lucy, and Victoria are vampires.
Yep.
Everyone else is human.
Trash humans, but still humans.
Trash humans. That fucking butler. Oh my god, if I'd found out he wasn't actually a vampire, I would have walloped him. Walloped his ass. And well, not spoilers. Anyway, so Evie is reacting badly to the fact that she's about to be married to a vampire. Walter goes from smoking, smouldering Upper East End British bad boy to icky, ew, vampire overlord. He gains some acrylics. His vampire teeth come up. He gets the most dashing ears, doesn't he, Sanka? As soon as you know what, Sanka could deal with the teeth. She could deal with the acrylics, but it was them fucking ears that gave her the ick, and it was over.
No, honestly, I could probably deal with the ears too.
Oh my god, hell hath no fury, please.
I can deal with Legolas's ears. It's not that far off.
Oh, I forgot. Oh my god, I forgot about Legolas. Oh. Sanka's simping. Sanka is simping for this man. Oh my god. But if he had looked like King Charles... if he looked like fucking Prince William, it'd be a different story, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Attractive vampires go a long way. But yeah, so she's like, help me, let me get out. The old lady's looking at her really distraught. So she starts running. How did she get caught?
The Victoria and Lucy came... I think Victoria came after her.
Yeah, they can't... No, so what happens is the guards go after her, they grab her, and then they drag her to her quote-unquote bachelorette party.
Oh, right, yeah, because he was saying the first night is with the two women, and then he gets her the following night. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
creep.
Is Ix.
Yeah, and they take her to some kind of basement, and there's a bunch of coffins in there. And after a bit of talking, they lock her in one of the coffins. And they leave.
And she's banging and crying and all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah, and then her maid comes and opens it up for her and tries to help her escape.
And she's like, why are you doing this? She was just like, because I think her great-grandma's name was Emmeline. That's what it was, Emmeline, there it is. And she's like, oh, Emmeline and I were great friends. So I think... by how old the lady is, she must have been really young when Emmeline went into the family.
Yeah.
And so was next to Emmeline the entire time. So she felt indebted to her. But yeah, she helps Evie escape. Evie gets out. Mind you, side note, these vampires are out and about during the day. They're not your
what's
regular.
Up with that?
they're your like your vampire diary sort of vampires where they can canoodle in the sunlight.
With daylight rings.
Daylight rings. Yeah, I didn't see no rings on them. But apparently they've got... Lucy explained to Evie that, we're not the typical type of vampires. You get you get to go out in the sun. You get to see things. You don't have to hide in the dark and all sorts of stuff. And Evie's still like, fuck that.
And the only way to kill them is to either stab them in the heart, cut their head off, or set them on fire.
Burn them. Burn.
Mm-hmm. She also finds that out.
Exactly. And so Evie's running around the ground. I am so sorry if you can hear my cats, because I can literally hear Basil meowing as if he's never been fed in his entire life. So I apologize if y'all can hear that. It's roughly dinner time for them. But yeah, so Evie's running around the mansion, the grounds of the mansion. Or the estate, sorry, because that's what we call it, the estate. And she runs into this house or this little building that's on the outskirts of the mansion. She goes in, turns around, and realizes it's like a cold room because there's big blocks of ice everywhere. And then she realizes that's where they've been keeping all like the dead maids to stop their bodies from like rotting and stuff.
Yeah.
Disgust.
Gross. But
disgust.
The head butler guy follows her. Well, not follows her. He goes in there. I think they were dropping off one of the other maids.
They were dropping off the maid that helped her escape.
Yeah, because he'd just killed her.
Oh, yeah, damn.
That was a bit sad. So Evie's hiding under the table where they've dropped her, and a bit of her blood drops down on Evie's face, and she lets out like a little gasp. And he obviously hears it and turns around and starts looking around for her. Lucky she didn't wait for him to find her. She grabbed a pole or something, ran out and locked him inside there. Very smart move. But then she's just running in the woods, doesn't know where the fuck she's going. Eventually she's running, still daytime, and as it's getting a little bit darker, she gets to like a little cliffy area type thing, and she sees the town that's over there in front of her. So she runs there into the town looking for someone to help her, and she's banging on some windows, and this old couple let her into their house, and she's telling them she needs help. She stupidly gave away all of the details of where she had been in the mansion, who, like, the family that she was with, and like all of the details. Like,
but the thing is,
girl,
I hate to
come
say this,
up with a side story, like
but the
a
thing
lie.
is, now that we know what's about to happen, I don't think that would have helped her.
Probably not, but still,
Because she's like in an obvious
she-
red masquerade dress. That must be like the wedding dress they put them in.
yeah. But she had to have known that people in the town would be in on it. Like, these people are so
Well,
rich.
That's what common sense would tell you, but common sense is not common.
True. But yeah, the old lady tries to drug her, and then the other guys on the phone call, with tea, and they're calling supposedly the police, but who knows who they're calling.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're trying to drug her and get her back there. And eventually they do. I don't remember how they actually got back to the castle.
Oh, so what happens was she spills her tea. Well, she throws her tea into the old man's face. And remember, it's like hot tea. So it scalds him. But as she's trying to run for the door, the old woman takes like some sort of coin collector jar that's shaped like a pug with the British flag on it and hits her at the back of, like on the side of the back of her head, knocking her out.
Yeah.
And then we pan to a room where she's like slowly waking up. She's looking up at the maid. She's going in and out. And then she finally focuses on Walter, who's sitting across from her.
Was this
And he
when
was
they
just
were
like,
going to get married now?
huh?
Oh, no. They were in a room, and he was like trying to convince her that she should get married to him. And
Yeah.
all that.
And he was like, oh, I hope you've gotten all of that out of your system. Like, you know, it was a valiant effort. I would have said, fuck you. I mean, she spits on his face. He comes up close and he's trying to still be wooing and all that kind of stuff. And he spits on her. She spits on his face. And then he was like, well, it doesn't matter what you do now because you've accepted. So I think half part of the curse is that the girls have to be willing. So he tricked her into saying yes after they'd done the bedroom
Nasty.
tango.
Yep.
And yeah. Continue.
Yeah, and then I don't know if anything happens between there, but I thought they go into the room where they're having the wedding ceremony.
Yeah, she passes out again and you pan into the room where she's looking through like the veil. Like I think she's coming in and out of consciousness. So obviously the drug must be where they can get her to do stuff, but she's not really that present. And then she starts to focus again. Yeah. Mind you, guys, side note, this entire time, Evie has been seeing like visions of Emmeline. Like when she was first going for that run, she turned around. No, that's where she woke up. When she was going for that run, she turns around and Emmeline's looking at her, and then she suddenly wakes up. And then she's sleeping in her bed and she sees like Eveline's like in the distance watching her. And Eveline's keeps saying like it ends with me.
Yeah.
So this entire time, and and at the table, if we quickly jump back, when she's realizing what's happening, she's sort of doing the quick maths about the paperwork that she found, the story that her cousin jackass Oliver told her about her great grandmother having an affair with a footman who happened to be black, because in the movie she's biracial, and that the baby was given away to the footman to raise, and and how she was like, oh, and the husband never knew about it. So obviously Walter married the grandmother, or the great grandmother at the time, didn't know that she had given an offspring. Well, lucky for them she hadn't had an affair, or we wouldn't have gotten to this bit.
Yeah.
Well, until she takes them all out, but it is what it is. And so she's done all the maths and realizes, oh my god, that's why they were so welcoming, is because they actually needed me to marry this dude so their powers would be good. All that sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
And so, we pan to the altar where she's been forced to walk down she's wearing a pretty dress, but I feel like it was very It was very peasant compared to what everyone else was wearing.
Yeah, and that veil was just super creepy.
It was just, super creepy and like very old fashioned. Whereas like Victoria was rocking, some Valentino. I was like, you couldn't have called Chanel to give her a dress. Like, you got her other dress. Which makes me think, is all this shit Evelyn? Like, not Emmeline's?
Yeah, maybe.
Was it all her old clothing that she just wearing? But,
maybe.
yeah, so she makes it to the altar. Old girl is distraught because she just realizes she's about to marry a vampire.
But she's got a plan.
She has a plan.
So the first step of the ritual is for her to drink his blood, and then he has to drink her blood after that to solidify the pact. So she ends up drinking his blood. For a minute there, I thought she was either going to
drain him,
kill herself, or before she started drinking his blood, I thought she was like thinking about killing herself and just ending it all. And then she started drinking the blood and she was going for it. Like, that must have been a juicy ass cocktail.
Yeah. And he was just like, ease up, there'll be plenty of time for more than that. So I think during the ceremony, he gets weak because he's got to give her a lot of power.
Exactly. And I think she maybe realised that, and that's why she was really going for it too, just to get him as weak as she could.
Yeah.
And so when she's done, he kind of like drops to the ground and is trying to recover.
And he's trying to reach for her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I want that maid.
What did she do? I don't remember what she did then.
So she's looking at the maid and she's like, realised like all the connections and stuff. So after she drinks, she goes, oh, I want her blood, like pretending to be all with it. And so as she gets closer to the maid, she looks at the maid and then quickly turns around and knocks all of the glass pillars off. So she starts burning the person who's doing the ceremony.
Yeah, sets everything on fire.
Yeah, so everything starts burning.
And then she runs out of the room.
Not before stabbing Walter directly into the heart.
Yes.
Because that's an important part.
Yeah. I don't know.
And he starts aging rapidly.
Did she actually get him in the heart though?
Well, she got him close enough to the heart to really like weaken him, where he starts losing all his power and aging him. And then as she's trying to run away with the other maid and her start running away. Like she's trying to push the maid to go, like, go, save yourself. And the Victoria then starts making a run for her.
Yes. And they end up in that front room with all the statues and everything.
Yeah.
And Victoria's, having a go at her. So Evie now is also technically a vampire. So she's got the claws and the teeth and everything. So she's quite evenly matched with Victoria.
And powerful, yeah.
And they're having a go at it. And then suddenly, from behind Victoria, she gets attacked by none other than Lucy, which was a very interesting twist. I didn't quite expect it.
Very unexpected, yeah.
But I think Lucy was kind of over the whole thing too, which I don't blame her.
I mean, she didn't really have a choice in the matter, did she? She was just told that she had to marry a fucking weirdo and then become his wife. So...
Yeah, so those two then end up fighting and eventually they impale themselves on a spear and they both die. Yay.
Oh, and side note, the maid who Evie helped escape comes back and like hits Victoria at the back of her head to try and like distract her, but obviously Victoria's a vampire, so she just eats her away. But I thought that was really cute. Like, old girl could have just saved herself, but she was... And then Evie was like, no, leave, run away. But she came back to help. And I thought, oh, that was sweet. But yeah, Lucy seemed over it. Like, Lucy the entire time was really, really friendly to Evie. Like, she didn't seem hostile the way Victoria was. Yeah. She seemed like she was more over it than what maybe Victoria thought, because she was just like, it's enough. Like, I've had enough. So I can't blame her. So Lucy ends up getting them both impaled.
Yes. And they both wither away and die. And then old mate Walt comes stumbling out of the room that's on fire. And he has aged 60 years in 2 minutes.
Oh my God, yeah. Wasn't delicious anymore, was he? It was crisp.
No, at first I was like, who is this? What?
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But the thing is, he's just really weakened because she hasn't, like, obviously cut his hand off or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you remember how he dies? Because I don't.
Oh, she grabs a claying tool, which is like a really, so you've got like two little wooden bits on each end of like a wire, like very very strong wire that you cut the clay, not me sitting back, cut the clay with.
Oh,
So
it
she
was
what
the
she
wire
does
that
is
she was using in the beginning. I remember.
yeah, and so what happens is obviously he's grabbing onto her, holding her up, and so she wraps it around his hand and then like pulls and takes his hand away. So he's flailing about with no hand, and then she like like gives a big kick and shoves him into the fire. So you got to remember the house is on fire at this point because
Yeah.
there's alcohol everywhere, there's incense everywhere because they're spooky ooky vampires, and so the house is in flames. And so what happens is, because I think the way they explained the ritual was she needs to drink his blood, he needs to drink her blood, and I think then she needs to drink human blood
Yeah.
to actually finish the ceremony. So because he didn't drink her blood or she didn't drink human blood, I think it's implied that she's returned back to like she's a human again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
she's
was a
returned back.
nice twist. I'm
Yeah.
glad that she went back to normal.
And she didn't have to live her life as a vampire.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, she walks out the house. Sorry, I was just thinking about how the scene ended. So she leaves the house. I think she escapes with the maid, whatever. She's a human again. And then it cuts to the scene of Oliver walking down. So you got to remember, as Evie is doing all this stuff, all the humans who were at this wedding ceremony to see this thing happen fled the mansion. Like, they pissed off. So a lot of them, I think, are alive. And so in the scene, it cuts to the scene of Oliver walking down the street, and he's talking about Evie. He's going, she's human now. She can't do anything to us, but, we still have to be careful. We have to do this, this, and that. And then it shows a shot of Evie standing there with her bestie, the black girl from America. And so, they have a little bit of banter. Obviously, Evie's told her what's happened. I think Evie still has maybe a little bit of power left from being a vampire because, she's got a whole badass thing going on. She cut off her hair and they make a joke. And obviously they're about to go fuck Oliver's shit up, which he deserves because he's the one who took her over to England and stuff. And it ends with, the black best friend picking up a bat, and she's like, it's kind of ironic, the whole vampire bat thing. And Evie just laughs it off, and that is how the movie ends. So it happened with two besties about to beat a man's ass, which I'm always here for, personally.
Can you just imagine the bestie's face when she was telling her all of this? Her reaction.
I can imagine, because it would have been my face. I done told you not to go up into London and meet those white folk over there in the countryside for no bloody family ass. Oh my God. Me. First of all, I'm glad the black friend believed her and was just like, yeah, I'll help you. I think we're starting to break the stereotypes of, black people going, yeah, that's not for me. I'm glad she didn't go, because I felt that they would have killed the black friend for being too inquisitive, being too noticeable of things. So I'm glad she didn't actually go with her. Like, oh, can I bring my bestie? And then the bestie dies. I'm sick of those storylines.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't be me.
Although I have made you come to some pretty questionable things with me.
Well, again, sorry everyone if you can hear my husband and my cats in the background. There's nothing we can do. It's feeding time, and unfortunately they will actually just get worse if he doesn't feed them. So
that's okay.
Especially
we're
Basil.
almost finished anyway.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up. So what did we think, Sankar?
Overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. I was not bored at all.
It kept me on my toes a little bit.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. There wasn't too many scares, and it wasn't like fucking terrifying. It was a good build up though, and the mystery of it was quite good because we didn't really expect, like, I'd watched the trailer. I watched like half of the trailer, and when I realized that the movie was actually something I was going to be interested in, I stopped watching it because I didn't want to ruin it for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't expect the whole, you're invited to a wedding, but it's actually your wedding.
I was making jokes about that. I was like, I bet you she's rocked up to her own wedding. Doesn't even realise. I bet you she has.
Yeah, so
and
I
she
didn't
did.
expect that. And it was quite a good twist.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was I mean, thinking about it, like I could probably, if I wanted to, and if I really thought about it, I probably would have seen it coming. But I tried not to think about it too
Yeah.
much, just to be surprised and in the moment. And it was good.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it.
Same. I also quite enjoyed it. I like that it wasn't like, I think I'm starting to get over horror movies that are just in your face horror. Like I think I'm getting to that age where I don't want to be seeing people's like guts and all that kind of stuff. I don't like to be fair. I think the scariest thing for me was that very first scene where Emmeline decapitates herself. You know what I mean? Like that was ugh. I was like, ew, disgusting. But I'm glad it wasn't full of like just unnecessary jump scares. Like I think movies nowadays, especially horrors or thrillers, you need to know where to put your scary scenes because it's not every 3 minutes jump scare. So I like that. I like this
as well.
Yeah, and I like that it was more mystery. Like, why haven't we seen the bride? Who is this guy? How does he know all this stuff?
And
like,
they didn't show too much of like they showed the 2 or 3 vampire killings and that was it. But at those points we didn't know what was going on. So the whole time we were trying to figure it out and look for more clues and everything. So it kept us really engaged, I think.
Yes, I think that's a great way of putting it. It did keep us engaged. We weren't I know what you mean by trying not to predict everything. I mean, I can't help myself. I have to try and figure it all out. But I didn't really expect it to go where it went.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I didn't expect it to end up with her actually being the bride. I was making jokes like, imagine you show up to your own wedding. Like, why is this man? You've only met this man for 2.5 business days. Why is he asking you to marry him? Like, that's weird. That's weird behavior. Run away. Red flag, red flag. But yeah, I think I enjoyed, the eye candy was okay. Like, not really my cup of tea, but, it was good. I liked all the characters. I'm very glad. I will touch very, very briefly, I have to, on the undercut of racism in this film. And I think what we're going to start seeing in a lot of, in like newer age horror movies is sort of the characters addressing certain racist undertones, because there was a lot of racist undertones
or at least
in
calling
this.
it out.
And calling it out, like, when her best friend talked about, they probably owned people, or colonizers, or how the butler said that you were half blood, like you weren't, the scandal of her grandmama getting on with probably a biracial foot guard or whatever who was who was black. So there was tones of them addressing the racism. And then what really hit it in the head was when the butler was very like, you were never good enough, I told the master you weren't cut from the same cloth, all that kind of stuff. And it was very much like, I don't think it would have been as bad had she been fully white. I think there was very much implied, because you got to remember, Victoria said she's about 500 years old.
Yeah, true.
Like, this man, the Count Walter is just adapting to the new age. Like, I'm trying to think, did he really like Evelyn like that, or was he really playing a game? Like, did he just need her because they were strong with 4, or did he really like her? You know what I mean? Like, it was just sort of that thing where I'm just like, 1,000-year-old vampire, 500-year-old wife, 100-year-old wife. Slavery happened in that course, so I am glad that they're in horror movies like such. They are starting to touch on that sort of thing, because it does play a part. It does play like the friend said, why the fuck would you go all the way to England where a rich family probably owned slaves?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't. I don't care how much. I don't care if you got Prince William money. I ain't turning up there and being the only coloured. And she was besides from the housekeepers and the numbered housekeepers, because I think 2 of them were obviously coloured. One was like black and the other one was like ambiguously, like racially ambiguous. Everyone else that was there was white.
Yeah.
So why would you put yourself as a biracial person? Like, I'm very
She must
passing.
not have seen Get Out.
She mustn't have. She mustn't have watched Get Out. You're right. She mustn't have seen Get Out. She mustn't have seen any of these horror movies. She mustn't have watched 12 Years a Slave. Because, let me tell you. Excuse me? But yeah, for me, I'm not that I want to make race like a big part of this. It was just that in something like that, where like that sort of nonsense has been happening in a family for a long time, if you all I can say is if you are the only coloured person who isn't part of the help at an event, red flags. Red flags. I'm sorry, red flags. Like, what do you mean Cousin Oliver really wants to find me on, like, and there are some really nice, generous people who will welcome you. I'm not saying that there is. I'm just saying that it was very obvious there was some nonsensical undertones in here. And I wouldn't have gone. It couldn't have been me. But time to quickly bully Sanka before we end this podcast. She thought I would have forgotten. She thought I would have forgotten. No. Sanka deserves to be bullied. Because this entire time we've been talking about how she was drooling over what's the actor's name? Watch me fuck it up. Thomas Doherty. Oh, I got it. Ew, look at me. This man is only fine in this movie. I'm sorry to him and his mama. He is only fine in this movie. I don't know what they did in lighting to give him that jawline and that crest and everything. He is fine in this movie, and that's all I can give him.
You need to go and watch one episode of the new rebooted Gossip Girl.
No, I'm not watching that.
Because...
I'm sorry to that man. I'm not watching it. Sorry to that man. I'm not watching it.
Okay. But that's where this love affair started, okay?
Love affair. Sanka was drooling. This man had dimples, a chiseled... and to be fair, he met her M.O. Dark hair, light eyes, vampire... I don't know if you guys know that in our descriptions, Sanka is a hottie who will rewatch Vampire Diaries 10,000 times because of the man named Damien.
You know what?
Damien. This was Damien 2.0.
It's been at least a year since I watched them, and you're right. At least
a year.
You're right. It's time. It's time to rewatch.
See that? She's time to He is not fine in this. I just googled Gossip Girl Thomas. No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm at that age where I like my men with some facial hair. I'm sorry. Like, ew.
All right.
I think the only man I could probably take without some facial hair, and this is, ooh.
Your husband?
No. That man, no. I'm sorry. I love my husband, but no. Facial hair on lock, please. Is maybe Henry Cavill, but I don't know. I don't like I'm gonna get so much hate. I don't like his chin like that. I think you can be too chiseled. I think you can. Him as the Witcher, I'll take him as the Witcher.
Yeah.
Just a bit of scruff, you know. I like him. I like him a bit rough around the edges, you know. I like them. Like I said, I like a bit of a dad bod. I like a little bit of scruff.
You do like a dad bod. We know this.
Delicious dad bod. He's giving too much. He's giving too much rich frat boy energy. I like mine. So you know what it is? You're a vampire girl. I'm a werewolf girl. I think that's what this is, Sanka.
Have you watched Last Kingdom?
What the fuck is Last Kingdom?
With Uhtred.
With who?
His name is Uhtred. I think he's definitely your type. I'll send you a photo of him afterwards.
I'm looking at...
Anyway, we'll probably end this
Vikings! I do like my Viking men's. I see, but then again, he still looks a little too pretty, you know what I mean? I see him dirty, love it. Him too clean, no. I think I'm definitely at that, you know, I'm getting to that age where I like him. I do like him a bit scruffy. I do.
Alright, we get the picture.
Oh, this man is low-key delicious.
Ratings.
I'm giving it a solid 3.
A 3?
A 3, yeah.
Oh, I don't know why. I was expecting you to give it 4.
I mean, it was good.
It was good.
I mean,
and I would recommend
most I'd give it as a 3.5.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with a 3. I don't know. I just thought I was thinking higher for some reason from you, but no, I think a 3 is pretty fair. It was a great movie.
Oh, and guys, side note, I do have to admit that I did give The Conjuring a 4.5. I did. Mm-hmm. I was high that day. If I could renounce it, I'd take it down to a 4. I would. Still a good film. I'd take it down to a 4.
I think we were generous.
I stand where I stand with The Forest. I'm still giving The Forest a 4.5. I don't care what anyone says. Bite me in the comments. But this was a 3. Now, the reason I gave this a 3 is, it was kind of like your run-of-the-mill girl gets swept off her feet, finds out man of her dreams is a villain.
And And
Like, if
also, I think it's a one-time watch because it's interesting the first time, but now you know the story, you know there's no mystery left.
yeah,
So why would you rewatch it?
there's no reason to rewatch it.
Apart from drooling, obviously, but no.
Yes. Yeah. No, this is what, yeah. So for the storyline, I think if we were to just say in one sentence what the storyline is, I could sum it up for you. Poor girl, orphan poor girl, finds out she's related to rich family, finds out villain is vampire, wins. Done. There's a
Gets
plot
tricked
line.
into marriage.
Gets tricked into marriage. But
Drinks blood.
you know, but even if to the simplest bit, it's a poor girl, rich family, they fuck her up, they're villains. Like, it's literally your typical, like, your fan fiction sort of thing. It is a bit fan fiction-y. I think that's why I'm giving it a 3. It is a bit fan fiction. Like, I feel like I would have wrote this at 15. I wouldn't have won. I would have definitely become a vampire. I won't lie. I definitely would have been like, yes, take me, Walter, make me your eternal bride. But that was before I had common sense. Oh my god, I just turned around, the way Josh is looking at me. I know who I was. I know what I am. But no, I think the story is definitely just a 3. Like, yeah, I love it. The actress, love her as well. Yeah, Damien. Oh my god, I'm getting my vampires confused. Walt Disney. He was fine, but I don't know. Frat boys just put me off.
It was still some good acting from both of them. So.
Oh yeah, he played his part well. If I wasn't suspicious of men the way I am, I probably would have fallen for it. Like, you know, he does meet a little bit of my MO. He's got dark hair. You know, he's got a bit of cheekiness about him. I like that. But I'm too suspicious of men, and they gave me the ick. So I'm on high alert all the time. Wouldn't have fallen for it myself. But no, great acting. I think I loved the acting I really liked the most of was the maid. Actually, she gave a lot of emotion for someone who didn't have a lot of screen time.
Yeah, she had like 2 lines to say in the whole movie.
2 lines, and really the butler, his racist ass. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah. So that's it, guys. That, I think, a solid 3 from both Sanka and I for this movie.
Yep.
And that was it. That was the invitation. Definitely go give it a watch. It is definitely a one-time watch, but it is worth watching. Mm-hmm. We enjoyed it. And, yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Hotties and Horror Movies.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And make sure to follow us on all of our socials, YouTube, Patreon, everything. We look forward to putting out more content.
I will be making a Twitter so I can be messy. I will be doing that.